This past Saturday, something very interesting happened. What was supposed to be President William Ruto's winning formula for 2027 was suddenly exposed. And it wasn't exposed through leaks or through an investigation. No, it happened through one careless speech from one big-mouthed woman. The moment she spoke, William Ruto's entire political puzzle suddenly made sense. Let me explain. If you love this kind of content, go ahead and like this video and subscribe. Now let's get to the video.
Kasongo anasema ati muende Singapore.
For months now, President William Ruto has been pushing a new slogan that we want to make Kenya the next Singapore.
There is no reason why we cannot catch up with Singapore.
Most Kenyans already know that this is a political narrative and they don't take it seriously.
Sasa nikisema Kasongo anasema Singapore, munacheka. Kasongo anasema tuende Singapore.
Why? Because they have seen this before. In 2022, the narrative was hustlers versus dynasties. The bottom-up economics, liberating the poor from the elite families.
Lying season 1 was about the bottom up and hustlers and how we're going to give Mama Mboga billions and Boda billions and I don't know who billions. We want a billion giving spree.
Alijua roho yetu ni biashara. Akatudanganya, alijua weakness yetu ni biashara. Akasema nyinyi watu ya mlima, nitatoa nyinyi chini mpaka juu. Sisi vile tunapenda pesa na kupanua biashara, tukaanguka kwa box. That is how he conned us.
That story worked brilliantly. But in 2025, Kenyans now know one thing very clearly, that William Ruto is now part of the dynasties, that he is possibly even the wealthiest individual in the country. So the hustler story is dead. Now he needs a new enemy, a new division, a new emotional trigger, and that is where Singapore comes in.
Now it's on doing Singapore.
Now this past Saturday, at Gakuya's mother's funeral in Murang'a, FYI, Gakuya is vying to be governor of Nairobi 2027.
Na tusiseme huyu atakuwa governor Mkikuyu Nairobi. Hapana. Huyu ni governor atakuwa wa Nairobi yote.
Now, during that burial, a woman stood up to speak. Her name is Modoni. She's the woman rep of Lamu County. She's Kikuyu by tribe but lives outside central Kenya, particularly in Lamu, where many Kikuyus reside, especially in Peketoni. So when she stood on the podium, she said something very shocking. She praised Murang'a for having good roads and good infrastructure.
Mimi nimependezwa sana na barabara zenu. Barabara zenu ni lami. Wacha niwaambie, kwetu ni mashimo, kwetu hakuna barabara. Mimi nimefurahishwa na stima mko nayo hapa.
And she did not stop there. She went further and said this.
Nyinyi Wakikuyu wa Mount Kenya West, Mungu anajua sisi Wakikuyu wa diaspora hatufanani na nyinyi. Shida zenu sio kama shida zetu. Ingawa wazazi wetu walitoka huku, nyinyi unaonekana mshafika Singapore. Na mimi kama Mudhoni, mshafika Singapore nyinyi.
And just like that, the entire Ruto 2027 strategy was exposed. If you don't understand, calm down. Wacha nikupange.
Mimi kama Mudhoni, mimi nawaambia, mimi sio wa one term, mimi ni wa two term kwa sababu
What this woman revealed, knowingly or unknowingly, is this: that Ruto's 2027 narrative is not about development, it's about division. Just like 2022, hustler versus dynasty. Now in 2027, it will be those already in Singapore versus those not yet in Singapore. Translation: Mount Kenya is already developed. The rest of the country has been left behind.
You are annoyed that this road, Mpesa Number road, is being redone. All things that we have not seen since independence.
Ndio nimesema hatuwezi kuendelea vile tunaendelea. Tukiendelea hivi 60 years after independence, if 40% of the people of Kenya are still living below the poverty line, there is something wrong with our development program.
The message will be simple and clear. Mount Kenya is blocking the Singapore story, aka progress, because they already got theirs. Vote me back so that I can ensure that you too reach Singapore. It is the same political playbook, just a new target.
We must change it. There is something fundamentally dysfunctional about our development program and paradigm. Na ndio sababu hiyo nimesema tutabadilisha mambo.
So in the same breath, let's talk about development. Is Mount Kenya more developed than other regions? Probably yes. Why?
Let me school you, my friend. Ukiona maendeleo iko Mount Kenya ni sababu kitu moja. There were so many white settlers in Mount Kenya during the colonial era. So zile barabara mingi zimejengwa Mount Kenya zilijengwa na wa colonizers wazungu. Zile shule mingi ziko Mount Kenya na makanisa kubwa kubwa and hospitals zilijengwa na missionaries na pia zilijengwa na wa colonizers, if you remember. Hii reli yenye munaona hapa imetoka Nairobi tu Nanyuki, haikuwa inaenda Nanyuki kusalimia watu, ilikuwa inaenda Nanyuki kuchukua goods zenye zilikuwa zinalimwa na wazungu ndio ziweze kufikishwa Mombasa for trade, ziweze kuexportiwa to the rest of the continent. Ama namna gani? Sio sisi tuliambia wazungu wakuje watu colonize, lakini I think the ranks in the highlands were very productive. Na ndio unaona the white settlers had to live there. Na wakiishi hapo, si ilikuwa tu bora wajenge mahospitali huko. Ilikuwa bora watengeneze mabarabara huko. Na ilikuwa tu factual waweze kutengeneza some factories. Na ndio mnaona Thika is more developed in industrialization than many of the other counties in Kenya. So msiseme ati hiyo maendeleo tumeletewa na Kenyatta. Tumeletewa ati na Kibaki ama Uhuru Kenyatta. In fact, hiyo maendeleo ni maendeleo ya mzungu. So mungetaka maendeleo ikuje kwenu, mungeita hao wazungu wa colonize na huko.
Ingawa wazazi wetu walitoka huku, nyinyi mnaonekana mshafika Singapore. Na mimi kama Mudhoni, mshafika Singapore nyinyi.
This strategy does something else. One, it turns development into a weapon. It turns a community into a villain. It turns election into a revenge mission.
Mimi ni watutam kwa sababu
This is dangerous politics. Politics built on resentment, not solutions. So immediately after that speech, the mic was taken away from her. She was shut down and she was effectively removed from the event.
Msiulize, wacheni aende. Wacheni aende. Wacheni aende. Lakini aambie William huku ni one term. Aambie Ruto huku ni one term.
The people who attended that meeting, that burial, could not relate to what she was saying. And something different. They could tell exactly whom she's speaking for. They could tell William Ruto's voice from her narrative. They could tell that she's someone else's mouthpiece. And they did not appreciate that.
Askari walikuwa wangu, ndio Ruto walichukua. Akalipa pesa. Kama hiyo msichana alikuwa hapa ya Lamu, alipewa 10 milioni. Ndio anakuja hapa kuongea ile maneno naongea hapa mbele ya watu. Si ndio? Si ndio?
The crowds in that burial ceremony could not stand her because as she was speaking, they came to a certain realization that William Ruto has never done issue-based politics. He may have pretended to do those kind of politics in 2022 when he said it was all about the economy. But this speech exposed everything. It has never been issue-based. It's always pitting one group of people against the other. In 2022, it was hustlers versus the dynasties. And now, it was those living in Singapore versus those who are not yet in Singapore.
Nyinyi mnaonekana mshafika Singapore.
Will this strategy work? That is the big question. Personally, I think it won't, because now Kenyans know. Kenyans know that this Singapore story is a campaign tool. They know that it's not an economic plan. They know that it is not a genuine vision. They now can see it exactly for what it is. And you know, once a political trick is exposed early, it loses power. People stop reacting emotionally and start thinking critically.
Watu wako na kazi ngumu sana. Kushindana na mimi, wako na kazi ngumu. Wako na kibarua kubwa sana.
So, the game plan is out. The question now is, will Kenya still fall for the same strategy built on division, or has this lady's big mouth saved the country from another manipulative election? Only 2027 can answer. Subscribe.